Hey YouTube. I was watching a video by the Bible thumping wingnut today. I know I'm not supposed to do that. And I sort of checked his channel once in a while just for the heck of it, just to see what he's up to. And since this sort of disconnect, and he's had some the sort of standard ridiculous videos where he strawmans atheist positions and pretends that he hasn't been told time and time and time again, sort of what people's positions are. But he's got a video that he just released that I saw Robert Wallace and a couple others do some videos on. Was the gang rape of Monica Cora absolutely wrong? And I feel it important enough of a topic to go ahead and respond, not directly to him because I have no desire to engage in him directly or with him directly, but to sort of talk a little bit about this whole concept of absolute morality, which is something I've been meaning to get into. When I made my video, Man Sets Fire to Home YouTube channel, that's what I was referring to, is this whole concept of absolute morality, because I have to say, I disagree with a lot of atheists on YouTube on the topic of objective morality. I think it is possible to, at the very least, investigate and work on establishing a set of objective morals that have a sort of an empirical basis, that have a root in how various activities affect other people. So there's 2 points that I'd like to make here with regards to the Bible thumping wingnuts video. The first one is, I am also a little bit frustrated when various atheists won't come out and say that certain things are absolutely wrong. Specifically, of course, rape and murder and torture and enslavement. I think that it's easy to make the case that those have an objective morality behind them. And I'm happy to get into that at some point. I'm going to leave it at that for now, that I think that there is an objective moral basis for this. But I think part of the problem for me is I think the wishy-washiness is sort of, well, it's not objectively wrong. It's wrong because we have laws, or it's wrong now, or it's wrong in this instance. It really gives a lot of ammunition to the theists, right? Not that it makes their case, but of course they dance around and claim victory, sort of asserting that it does make their case. Of course, that doesn't prove God. They like to say that it does. And I do have an issue with that. Now, I'm not talking about certain instances, right? Someone will concoct, an imaginary, hypothetical, man stabs other man. Is that objectively wrong? And someone might say, yes, absolutely. And then they'll say, but the one man is a doctor and the other man needs, a surgery. He's got life-threatening illness. Okay, suddenly it's not wrong anymore. Well, of course, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about person stabs other person against their will with intent to do bodily harm or kill, etc., etc. I mean, obvious attacks, obvious rape, obvious, etc., killing. And I think there is a case to be made for an objective secular morality. And so that's one thing I would like to point out. And if the wingnut is watching this, no, I will not be answering you on that topic. I know he's posted many videos where he talks about an atheist will never stake a claim. You don't deserve that from me, just so you know, before we get into any kind of a dialogue here. There will be no dialogue. You don't deserve that from me because I don't speak to someone who claims to tell me what I know. That doesn't work. That doesn't wash here. The second thing I want to say that actually really infuriates me about this, he comes off in his video, he's talking about how he's such a sensitive guy, and I have no reason to doubt that. I am too. I can be brought to tears at a moment's notice if I think about, harm coming to someone's pet or someone's child or someone's wife, or, I can't watch a lot of, emergency room videos or any of that kind of stuff. That's not for me. But to say that he's so frustrated that atheists can't say that the rape of Monica Cora was absolutely wrong, he doesn't either. And that's a really, really important point to make, right? Because if you're going to say that a certain activity is objectively, morally wrong, that means for all people, at all times, in all places. And Christian theology does not contain objective moral standards. It contains dictates, and dictates only. Because you cannot have an objective moral standard that says killing is wrong, rape is wrong, slavery is wrong, or whatever, and then have a whole bunch of exceptions to those rules. That defies the term objective. And to say that, well, an entire tribe of people had to be destroyed, and then we took the virgins of that tribe and kept them as our own, that is somehow okay because those people were evil, and God can do anything that he wants because it's his creation. That removes objective morality, because rape is either wrong or it's not. Murder is either wrong or it's not. That's what objective means. It means that it's not a case-by-case basis. It's independent of your mind. And in this case, it is subject to the whim of God. If you believe the doctrine, of course, it is subjective morality. It's God has decided. And answers like, well, it's up to God to decide, we can't understand the mind of God, blah, 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 those just don't cut it when you're turning that around and pointing fingers at other people and talking about them not standing up for something being absolutely wrong. And I think it's a little bit disingenuous, because I think the wingnut knows that none of the people that live life, and Robert Wallace and the other people that he's sort of railing against, that none of them think that it was possible that her gang rape was okay. Nobody's suggesting that there might have been an aspect of that gang rape that made it okay. Those people, as frustrating as it is to the wingnut and even myself, are saying that they won't come out and say rape is objectively wrong because there might be some aspect in some specific situation, instance, whatever, where it might not be objectively wrong. So there's a reframing of an argument here. There's an insinuation that these people are somehow not willing to come out and say that this specific rape was wrong. I have no problem coming out and saying I believe that any physical, sexual, emotional, mental attack on another human being against their will with the intent to cause harm or remove personal property, etc., is objectively morally wrong. And I may get into that at some point, what I feel the basis is for that. I think it's actually important that secularists are able to have some sort of a moral code, because if we don't, then we're sort of subject to this, well, these are our current laws, so when we had laws regarding slavery, was it actually okay then? Well, we would say today, no, it wasn't. So the laws, obviously, that's not a logical extraction. And I think that, it doesn't work for the theists either, of course, right? Because what we have is a subjective standard. It's subject to the whim and the will of God. It is not objective. And they'll say silly things like, well, it's written on our hearts. Everybody knows right from wrong. This is obviously completely ridiculous, because there are times and places, both current and in the past, and in different geographical areas, where things that we consider to be abhorrent are acceptable and part of the norm. So if it's written on our hearts, it's written on our hearts. It's written on theirs too. And so, that argument doesn't fly. And I've heard this argument. The real problem I have with that argument, of course, is that they talk about it with respect to homosexuality. There are certain YouTube theists online who will talk about that homosexuality is wrong because you know it deep down that it's just wrong. And of course, I think the homosexuals might not feel the same way. It might not be written the same way on their hearts. So You know, it's really disgusting to me to see a guy who believes in a theology that violates its own claims to objective moral standards, right, left, and center, and then gets so upset at people who are thoughtful enough, at least. And again, I'm referring to Live Life and Robert Wallace and Essence of Thought, I think, was involved in this, who are thoughtful enough, at least, to evaluate their morality and evaluate why they feel things are wrong, etc., rather than just accept the dictates of Scripture without evaluating that. I mean, a presuppositionalist can't do that, right? So they are blind to this wishy-washy morality that's told of in Scripture. And so I'll just end by saying this. It's not objective when you make a whole bunch of exceptions to the rule, right? And it doesn't matter if that entire group of people was evil, and those women, those girls, they were in these families that were evil. So better to extract them and turn them into sex slaves or just regular slaves, and that was the better of two evils, as Paul Ross said recently. Those are not objective moral standards. So stop that. Thanks for watching.